chair and prepare to feel better about your last campaign. This is Fail and Fortune. Epic fails, unexpected feels, and tabletop truth.
Welcome back to Fail and Fortune, the podcast where TTRPG creators spill their secrets, laugh through the disasters, and celebrate the moments that keep them rolling. Today's guests are the whole crew behind No Quest for the Wicked, Neil, Ryan, Dane, the voices behind the rogues, the robots, the emotionally repressed hackers with hearts of steel. If you've ever wanted to know what happens when you combine tight actual play editing, improvisational absurdity, and the emotional resonance of a synthwave-soaked sunset, this is your episode. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Anytime. It is such a pleasure to have you all on here to be able to, tell us a little about your show, No Quest for the Wicked. It's a Starfinder. Is it still a Starfinder based TTRPG? I know you got a couple of seasons out now. Just wondering.
Yeah, so our main.
Yeah, if you had 30 seconds to describe this to a bounty hunter, what would it be?
I'll let Dane take it. I think the best way to describe it is a perfect mixture of a synthwave, neo-noir, and a narrative-focused, character-driven storytelling that has equal parts funny bone tickling and heartstring pulling storytelling.
Oh, your classic table RPG with blasters.
Yeah, exactly. It's we expand slightly beyond. We have one more sort of like MacGuffin. A lot of the times with like fantasy stuff, you can be like, oh, it's magic, and now we can be like, it's magic and technology
and science. Magic. You can't go wrong, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we have our first big season of Starfinder, our current season of Starfinder, but in between, we've done like little forays into Eldritch Automata, which is like mech meets horror system. We've done Dirtbags, which is kind of like Helldivers-esque, Starship Troopers. The boys did a very emotional like zombie apocalypse game, and we do have a few other kind of lesser known systems coming out soon. So we like to dabble in basically anything that isn't D&D.
Now, are you specifically against D&D, or is it just we went Pathfinder and that's it? We're sticking to that's our goal.
Historically, the three of us have been playing Pathfinder as our home game for over a decade each. Mm-hmm. So we were all very familiar with Pathfinder 1E specifically, and then when the sort of this idea of the show crept up in our group, Dane had the bright idea to go a little bit off the, something new, something more exciting, and that we sort of landed on Starfinder, which is a really great mix of the sci-fi things we love and a system that we already knew pretty in depth, but just with some cool new rule changes, some new flair, and some really cool classes and stuff like that.
And we have no hate against people who play D&D. It is a system that has become beloved for everyone. There's some stuff of the D&D creators in terms of not the people who use D&D to create, but the people who have created D&D, the
bad business practices like the OGL,
there's
sending the Pinkertons after people. Like we could go down a list eternally of reasons. And on top of that, it's like we just kind of want to stand out a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's like doing a D&D show would be a bad call. Like at the time when we did it, you know what I mean? Some people managed to make it work. We just wanted to be a little different and play with what we knew. And it's always very exciting to me to get a new game to play. So like, when we get to crack open Eldritch Automata and figure out how to be also like very powerful on the Mac, but also absolutely terrified for my life at the same time, like that, the excitement of new games is big for me.
Oh, totally. I ran, not just when we were doing weekly games, I ran my table through a couple sessions of Paranoia, and to get that out, that was wonderful. I mean, it's just a huge change from, Dungeons and Dragons to just be able to do whatever I wanted, however I wanted, whenever I wanted. And I know in the D&D world, blood gets drawn, and you start talking 4E, 5E. How was the first edition, second edition switch for Starfinder and I guess and Pathfinder for you guys? Is there?
So we're pretty OGs. Like we've really stuck to Pathfinder 1E in our home games, and for now we're going to stick with, I believe, Starfinder 1E for at least this campaign. Our Starfinder 2E just sort of launched this past weekend, so it needs to grow and develop, and we'll see how new rules and new systems. To be blunt, like it launched pretty light, like only 6 classes on launch, which once again gives them a lot of room to grow, and we're excited to see what happens. For like a storytelling standpoint, it really limits us. So we're sort of, I think for now, sticking where we're at and excited to see what does come. But
yeah, and like timing wise, starting our second season, it happened before 2E came out. I do think it's super cool that there's like this melding between, like, they now use the exact same like rule set, so you can throw second edition Pathfinder into Starfinder second edition and vice versa, which I think is just a really cool thing to, like, it's a very ambitious project to be able to have that like match. It'll be interesting to see how well that does mesh in reality, and it'll be exciting again seeing new content and stuff. But yeah, we've played like 2E Pathfinder in our home game for a bit, and I really like the 3-action economy, and I like a lot of the stuff they did with like scaling up like orisons and stuff. But Dane, I'm sure, is about to bust in here and talk about his love for Pathfinder 1E because there's just so much content. But I'll let you take it away, Dane.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there's varying degrees of players. There's some people who like want to play the classic archetype, like I'm a big burly barbarian with no shirt on and I scream and I hit things. The thing I love about Pathfinder 1E is you can do whatever you want, like, and be a viable character. Like you can build and come up with whatever crazy idea you want. Like if you want to play a cleric who's actually a lawyer and uses, litigation instead of spells, like that's an option you can do. I mean, I played a improvised weapon fighter who was a chef who only used cooking tools, all the way up to level 20 and ended up becoming like an absolute beast. Like
one of
kind
the
of inadvertently.
That's
I've
based
never
on
seen.
some of the lore you take and skill sets then, right? So
Yeah, so it's for 1E of Pathfinder, for people who aren't super familiar with the system, there's just the sheer number of
so
like,
much
feats
content, yeah.
and stuff that you can take. And it's a little more piecemeal in terms of like, as far as I know about D&D, feats aren't something that you get sort of like you kind of choose whether you take feats or not in replacement of stuff, is how I understand at least 5e. Whereas Pathfinder, every odd level you get a feat, and you can do some pretty crazy things, and depending on what class you take, you get access to more feats. But then there's also archetypes, which is sort of like a kind of an idea similar to D&D's subclass. So it takes like a pretty standard class. So you could take like, let's say Paladin, which is your usual like kind of like sword and board or great sword, heavy armor thing. But depending on your archetype, you could end up going a like Paladin that uses a shotgun. You can go a Paladin that uses like light armor and rapiers and is more of like a swashbuckler. So you can essentially like take any class and pull in aspects of another class into it, and you get into some pretty wild territory, real quick.
And it feels powerful to do that. Like, I think that's the thing to know. Like, obviously in 5e, you can try to do these things, but the rules don't exist to really back you up, in the same way. So that's why we love 1E, and I think that's why we love Starfinder 1E, because I think it just sort of hit that peak as 2E's coming out, where there's so much content for it that we're still exploring and like learning the system, and especially now that in our second campaign just started, we're like level 3? We just got level 3 a couple episodes ago, and we're still learning. Like, I don't have my character planned out. I don't know what's going to happen, but there's still so much content to go through, and we're playing new interesting classes, and that's sort of, I think, why we're happy where we're at for now, and obviously we're excited to see what does happen, but it's too early to
way
tell.
more math.
We
Way more math, yeah.
Yeah, we actually
much
did a sneak peek, Jesus words, with Paizo for Starfinder 2E like last year. We were like the first actual play like demonstration of it, and we had a blast with it. So it's going to be great, and I'm sure we'll get to it at some point. But for now, Juani's our little baby.
Juani, that's it.
I mean, you stick with what you know, right?
Yeah.
So, how did No Quest for the Wicked begin? Not like when you turned it from a conversation into a real project. I mean, that's a big start.
So Niall and I have a podcast already. We had been podcasting for like 2 or 3 years, I think, before that, or maybe even a little longer. So we had already kind of gotten our ground floor, sort of like all the basics and all the necessities. Like we knew sort of like what it meant to edit, what it meant to schedule, the boring stuff of like setting up an RSS feed and like all that kind of stuff. So we had that kind of thankfully locked in.
We got to hit the ground running in a certain sense. And it's funny because initially when we had talked about starting a podcast, we had considered starting an actual play podcast 3 years prior to when we did it. And we were like, it's a lot of work. We were like, it's so much more work than what we were doing because, you need to edit in a different way and add music and have multiple people. And there was just so much that I think quite wisely we didn't start with it. So we did kind of get to build up our experience and learn a bit before we started it. But
I mean, we started the show with just like we were all in a home game together. Like we were all we brought Ryan into our home game for the longest time. Ryan kind of popped into our home game whenever we were missing someone. He was kind of our like, we're not doing a regular session, so like Ryan, come on in and join us. And then once
it was even funnier than that because our GM was like, no new people, and I was like, there's a guy at work, I want to bring him in. He was like, no man, like no new people.
Yeah.
And it was just like one day where we were doing an off game and he was like, fine, you can join for like this one. Ryan came in for one session and the next day he was like, so can he join? Is he still want to join? And I was like, oh, you changed your tune really quickly. But yeah, one game with Ryan and he became a permanent member of our home game.
And then during COVID, Ryan joined like officially our home game because we were playing online and we didn't have to because Ryan was in Halifax and but when we switched to online play for our home game, we were like, oh, okay, the distance no longer matters. And then I had been, as Niall said, like I had been working on the plot for season 1 years before we actually started the show. But then it just got to the point where I was like, well, like we all kind of want to do this. Do you want to like do a show and we'll just see what happens? And
we just did it.
Hope for the best. Yeah. And so we sat down, we recorded, I think the first 4 episodes.
Didn't we do 2 and then 2?
Well,
yeah,
two, like almost.
I
think we
quick.
recorded the first 4 sort of like in very rapid succession, and we were
quick
like,
succession.
oh, this was cool. We liked this. We felt like this went really well.
It was great too, like because there's something different about like performing, right, and like being so locked in. Like home games are incredible, and they definitely like they fill such a different niche. But like being so locked in and everybody being so locked in, like I remember because the first 4 episodes of the podcast get really like they fucking kick off with a bang. So I remember finishing. Like our 4th episode and like I'm in my office like drenched in sweat, like heart pounding, like because there's like a crazy chase, not to drop any spoilers, and like it was just like it means so much because we were so invested, and I was like fuck. So I was just
for sure
locked in,
Like a home game, I mean, depending if you're like last at initiative, first guy's attacking, you're off in the kitchen getting snacks. You're
for sure.
That's the
right.
thing,
You're
right?
you're scrolling TikTok, waiting for your turn. Like, okay, what happened? Right. But when you're on a show and you gotta produce something, I guess really you do have to lock in for sure.
Yeah, we've done a few panels about like GMing and stuff, and that's one of the things we bring up when people talk about like, oh, like how do I keep my players interested and dialed in and locked in? And I think a lot of people don't realize that like when we're doing the show, we're at work, and when we're playing our home game, we're fucking around with our friends, right? Like we're gonna make a lot
you're
more
checking
jokes.
The scores. You're looking at memes. You're waiting for your turn.
yeah, this is the cool down time, right? This is me with my friends.
Right.
It's no different than like playing a board game or whatever. But like when we're recording the show, it's night and day, right? So it's like I think a lot of people listen to actual plays and want to turn that into their table and like translate it into their table, and it's just like it's not the same. It's like all four of us are working right now. And especially if you're going to compare it to things like Critical Role or Dimension 20 or, you know, like these shows that have like a massive budget with acting professionals, who have a set, who have an AD, who's someone who's tapping their watch being like, moving on. You know what I mean? Like there's so much behind
you don't see. Yeah.
There's so much behind the scenes and you're just like, yeah, these are not two indicative things. It's like when you go see like the difference between, playing a game of like tag and then going to watch a movie. It's like you're playing a game here with your friends and you're dicking around, and these people are professionals who are at work. So I think that's like one of the big things that I've noticed when people are like, how do I, like, we want our home table to be like this. And it's like, well, I don't know, set up some microphones and pretend like you're at work.
Only a few people will get this reference, but it's the difference between a Canadian TV show and an American TV show.
Yes.
I don't know. I go walk into a room. I don't even have to hear it. I just look at the screen. That's a Canadian TV show. And, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a very strange phenomenon. I've worked in Canadian film, and yeah, it's absolutely correct. Where you're just like, there's just like hallmarks. It's just a vibe, and you're like, yeah, that was shot here.
Yeah. And I don't even have to, I just have to see like a scene, not even just catch a glimpse, just how it shows. I don't know what it is. I mean, the production value is there, but it just shows up different on my TV screen for some reason compared to an American show. Like, what tool or tech did you wildly overestimate or underestimate when you started this podcast?
I know my answer right away. It's microphones. It's microphones.
Yeah. Overestimate or underestimate?
I don't know. Underestimate, because what we started out with, like, I know for me, I don't know what the issue was with my voice and like my setup, but like starting out, I just had the first couple episodes, or my voice is just so wonky at times. Like it just sounds like I'm in a different world. So I feel like when we actually upgraded and like that difference, I was like, oh, this is worth it. Like this investment paid off right away for me, at least.
The mic thing is interesting because while I do fully agree, and it's been kind of like a world of difference, at least on, I don't know, Dane does our editing, so he can speak to this the most, but it's like we did a lot and we went really far with shitty mics. And I think a lot of that is because of Dane and the editing.
100% because of Dane.
Yeah, Dane is probably the thing we're underestimating here, but I mean, I've seen so many of those posts being like, never start your podcast with this, and it's like, You can. You don't need to be elitist about it,
I think all three of us were using Yeti microphones.
Yeah.
Like, Niall and
USB.
Ryan and I were both using the
Blue?
Yeti big long one, and you were using a Snowball.
Snowball, yeah.
And one of the comments we got when we first started the show was like, your guys' quality is audio quality is so good.
That's all you, Dane. Like, it's literally all.
No, yes, but I think there's also, I think it's just very strange because I think that the difference between what people consider as audio quality is also like mic technique, and
maybe
like
as well.
Who take the
thing
time
I do not have.
I mean, I think it's some people like I've given you guys all pointers and tips and stuff. Like I went to school for acting, so I've learned this technically, and I think there's that, right? Like, I think there's a level of people who plug in a microphone and is like, voice go here, and not realize that like there's a little bit more to it to sound good, even with a budget USB mic. But it's funny. It's like we see it all the time where people are like, never use a Yeti microphone. Like, it's embarrassing. It'll sound like trash. And it's like, well, we did it for years and won awards with them. So
I'm glad we did great with it. I'm sort of glad that we don't, that we moved up, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Anyone who thinks that you need to drop like $500 on a microphone to start a podcast is a crazy person.
Drop that money on an editing class.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Find your plugins and stuff.
Maybe you don't get a Temu special, but you don't have to spend thousands.
There's plenty of USB mics that you could rock and be perfectly fine. It's just a matter of taking going on YouTube and watching a couple 30-minute videos about audio processing, and you're going to get far more bang from your buck investing in a decent editing suite over your microphone.
So editing suites, let's what do you guys use?
I'm using a incredibly out of date Adobe Master Suite. I think I'm using CS6, but it is
they want subscription money.
That's it, right? This is I think the last one that you could purchase or get licensed. And I got it through work. And then it's just I'm not paying $100 Canadian for 2 programs to use. I think we priced it out. I use Audition for my post-processing and Premiere for my editing, mostly because I used to do video editing. So Premiere was it's probably not the best audio editing tool, but I knew all the shortcuts and it does the cuts all the same. So it's what I'm familiar with and feel comfortable in. And I think if you priced it out, it's over $100 a month just to access those 2 programs from Adobe. And I don't know why they did this. I'm sure I'm sure they're making money hand over fist with corporations and stuff like that. But for the little guys, I remember my first Adobe suite, purchased it all for it was pricey at the time. It was $800 for the programs that I wanted, but they were mine.
Yes.
But our other show has been going for 8 years now, 9 years now.
It's a long time.
That's almost 10 grand in just subscription fees to Adobe.
That's insane.
No, I'm all for low cost, no cost. And there is good. I use DaVinci for editing video, and the majority of it is free.
Yeah, and why not?
That's what I need to do, right? Or we used when we were audio only, we used Audacity. Did a wonderful job.
Yeah, it's if I'm going to underestimate anything, I'm learning more and more little tricks with Riverside. Us switching over to Riverside to record really helped streamline a lot of stuff. I won't trash the service we were using prior to, but there was a lot of weird things where it's if any of us talked over each other, it would garble the audio.
And I always speak over people, so
as do I. It was a bad combo.
Even with a comedy podcast, right? Comedy is about timing, and sometimes you have to cut someone off. Sometimes you have to there's
jump in
humor to overlapping dialogue as well. So it's
nothing sucks more than having something funny to say and being I gotta wait, and then being now
it's gone. Yeah.
And honestly, with Riverside, what I love is being able to edit videos, but using the text to find the part in the video you want. Because if I want to look through a video, it's going to take me an hour to do that. If I just want to scroll through a wall of text, it takes me 10 fucking seconds to find the part. And I can just click on the sentence, cut it there, and it's that's a godsend. I love it.
I just started using Riverside, and because we used to do all our Skype, right? And then Skype ended. I'm well, that had all the stuff I needed with the plugins to get the sound and the music and everything. And now we just went to Riverside to tried it out, and look at this. Now I got another show.
Yeah. Has been working for us. We like it.
It's been the best sort of little expense we've added to the show in terms of an additional program or whatever. Riverside has made my life easier, and I know it's made Niall's life easier. So
yeah, for sure.
Anything that makes it easier to create, I'm all for.
So have you ever lost an episode or most of a recording?
I think that at most we lost, there was one episode where we lost a couple scenes. There's only one time we had to do an ADR kind of thing after the fact. That only happened once.
Yeah. I think the only time it happened was my track. For some reason, with the last thing that we used, if my antivirus, if my Norton's activated, either in a scan or whatever, it cut my track, but it wouldn't tell me. So we would all still be recording, and it looked like we were all recording. And when I would stop, it would have been cut wherever it popped up. And we had lost maybe like 20 minutes, and I had to go back and listen to what all the other 3 people were saying and try to guess what I was saying.
Fill in the gaps.
And unfortunately, it was during a combat as well, so I had to just be like, that hit. They rolled a this. Like, I don't know what the dice rolls were, and like the 2 hits or whatever. So I literally just had to like, when the boy said, yeah, that hit, I just said a large number, and it was a nightmare to do, but it would have been weird to have redone that combat. But I mean, if we're talking about Trouble episodes, we did one, the only episode in which we've recorded all 4 of us together in person.
Oh, dear God.
It was after we performed at Fan Expo.
Yeah.
And it was all 4 of us we got to perform live together for the first time. And we were like, okay, great. Well, we can rent a studio space and we can record this episode together, and it'll be like it's a really pivotal boss fight. It's it'll be great to have us all together.
And it was great to be in the same room. It was a lot of fun.
So much fun.
It was a crazy day. Like, Ryan flew in that morning at like 7 a.m. and then we had booth time at Fan Expo. Then we had our show. Then we had like a meet and greet after. Then we went straight to record this other like 2.5 hour episode. So like, Ryan just didn't get to sleep or eat for a whole day.
I was awake at like 4 a.m. It was a long day. I think it was like by the end of it, I was like, I've been awake for 26 hours. I think by the time I got to lie my head down.
Sounds like a perfect game day.
Yeah. But it was funny because we were in this studio, and like, it was a friend of mine who's like a musical artist, and he was like, I've got this studio space. He had all hooked up with mics and stuff, and we get in, and Dane immediately is like, well, it's loud in here. It's like the AC's going, there's streetcars outside.
Window was open.
Like, yeah, there's all this shit. And Dane was immediately like, this is not good. And the guy, God bless him, was like, that's fine. You won't hear it at all. And obviously, this guy's got his equipment set up. You trust him.
That's right. Like, for me, I was like, knowing my abilities, I don't know how I would fix this. But this dude is a professional. So, like, I'm not going to come into your space and be like, no.
This is shit.
Yeah. So I just assumed he had done this before and knew what to do in order to, you know what I mean? Like, for all I know, he had noise gates set up, he had filters set up. Like, I don't know what he was doing. And I'm not a professional audio guy. Everything I learn on the fly. And when we got the audio back, it was rough. It was not good. And I don't know if it was a matter of like his expectation of what audio podcasts should sound like, and he's used to like just, you know, boys sitting around shooting the shit, talking about nothing, like your classic podcast sort of like indie show would be, and not really realizing that we had a lot higher standards for audio quality, or what, but it took a lot of fucking around on my end, to get it to a point where I was even like remotely okay with it. But it just sucked because it was one of those episodes where like so much shit gets revealed, like all kinds of crazy shit happens in this boss fight, and it was such a pivotal moment that I was like, we can't go back and re-record this,
no, because
it'll be so shit to have the boys try to like pretend like they didn't know.
Recreate that magic and that enthusiasm.
And like, unless we did the episode from scratch and just actually played it through, which would be so bizarre because it would end up differently. I actually cannot imagine getting in there being like, oh, I rolled a 7. You know, like, But I will
Here's
say,
the script. Learn it. Yeah.
It was very funny because that was like speaking of like bloopers and failures and stuff, that was one of our main like audio, or not audio, like video bloopers, where when we got in, the place was like, it's very white and like sterile. And again, like for what we were doing, it just didn't really look great because we were also videoing this. But he was like, oh, no, I got like filters for the light. So he spread this like pink filter over the light and the whole room looked kind of like what Dane's doing right now. It looked really cool. But at one point there's a really emotional moment, and like one of our guys was like tearing up, and it's a big reveal, and then the filter like plunk, 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 like falls off the light. So the most like comedic like plunk sound as it hits the ground, but everything's also just bright, stark white, and we're like bursting out laughing in the middle of this. Like, we actually have a video of it. It's
moment.
It always makes me laugh. I enjoy it.
Ever have an episode go out with a mistake that you only noticed after it aired?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was like nothing big. I know during the like flying fight above Jesus. There's a Silver Invasion like arc. There's a bit where like I guess one line had meant to be cut because I think I fumbled it and said it again, but it's in and then it happens again and it was just jarring. But you fixed it like immediately after it went up.
Yeah, there's probably I like if there is that kind of stuff, it was probably things like that where it's like I had cut something and I was like trying to make it work and then it was like, well, okay, this doesn't work, and then I forgot like one line, or there's just a weird I say the number twice or something. Thankfully my partner was like an avid listener, so the second it was uploaded she was already listening to it, and I would wake up and she'd be like, here's a list of things. So like thankfully my partner is sort of like my
early detection
editor
system.
Executive producer sounds like
so thankfully like anything we catch, and then like Niall and his partner listen as well, so like anything that we do miss would usually get caught and fixed pretty quickly, but I don't think we've ever done anything.
I don't think it's ever been anything like bad.
Yeah,
which is nice, which just means it's coming. No.
Yeah,
touch wood.
Right. All right, so we talked some fail. Let's talk a little fortune. Production magic, a breakthrough, an edit you're so proud of, or a moment of like, oh wait, this is it. This is the magic. This is so good.
I've had a few of those where it's like music, where like I find really great music for a scene, and then I'll just sort of like thunk it in, like I'll just drag it into the timeline, and then just for whatever reason it lines up perfectly. Like there'll be a gap in the actual audio of us talking where the music swells, and I'm just like, that's where I would have put it, but I'm like, it just kind of happens. Yeah, like it just did it on its own. That's one of those things where I don't think anyone but me gets to appreciate, because like I think people like the music. One of the things we get a lot is like our music cues are very impactful. But I don't think anyone will ever know the satisfaction of like dropping a music track onto the timeline and it just syncing up absolutely perfectly. To what you want it to do, and you're just like, thank you. Thank you for this.
Yeah, I think like moments were just like, because in the last like miniseries that I GM'd, like it's not so much a production thing as like a player's thing, where like I was trying to build up a character into a thing which I thought was going to take like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and like the guys picking up on what that person was meant to be like way too quickly, but then delivering like the perfect moment in terms of just like it being very funny, but also very dramatic right as the episode was about to end. And I was like, well, that's a beautiful, exciting, hilarious cliffhanger to end on. Also in no way how I thought this was going to go. And I'm like, this is great. And then they also rolled a crit like the enemy did. So it just amped up the stakes. And I was like, this is all just falling into place perfectly. Stuff like that, yeah.
All right, for sure. You have any post-production rituals? Is there anything?
I mean, I just hope that everything worked. I don't know if it's a ritual, but I say when I download my tracks and I line them all up, I'm like, hopefully nothing's gone wrong.
You just hit send and off you go?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think there's anything I really... No, I don't. I just kind of I download the tracks and hope, because there have been times where like I don't remember what it was, but there was something where there was like stuttering, and it kind of like it was like if I downloaded the tracks too fast, like if I had like too many downloading at once. I don't know what it was, but I thought we had lost a recording. So now if I have any ritual, I download the track like one at a time. I wait for it to finish. I rename it. I move it into the folder, and then I download the other one. Like, that's about as superstitious as I get.
So with Riverside, do you do like track by track, or are you pulling the completed audio?
No. So I download the raw audio and do all my post processing, myself. I am, however, currently toying with the sort of like automated like pause remover thing, to see how well that works. I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to the pacing of the show, so I don't know how much that will affect it. So
sometimes you got to have a pause.
that's what I mean, right? Like we edit for performance on this show as well. So like there are times where it does need a pause. And if it's eating that pause, then, but I think if it works out the way I want it to, I think it's easier to add a pause than it is to remove 170 of them. So we'll see. We'll see how much of a release of control I can give it. But it would help, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I look at it too. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of ums and ahs. Oh. Do I want? And it gives you the time of how much you're cutting. They're like, wow, that's
I think
that's
I
like
looked
half
at
the
it.
episode.
I was playing around with it today, and I think our most recent, or the episode I'm editing right now, I think it was if I did sort of the middle option of pauses, it was like 11 minutes cut out, and then the ums and ahs cut out like another almost 4 or 5 minutes. And I was like, well, that's a substantial amount of time and less editing I have to do. I just don't know what it's going to sound like. I don't know how well they get the scissors in there. So we'll see. I'm going to toy around with it, but it's going to be a tough task to be like, okay, automation, I'll trust you. Yeah.
Even with video editing, sometimes I'll have a video and I'm like, that's a little bit long, and I go out and I cut the ums and ahs. It's like 20 seconds shorter. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it was only a minute 20 seconds, but it is crazy.
Other than dropping the music in the perfect spot, are you ever surprised yourself with how good something turned out?
I mean, yeah, a lot of the times. Like, I don't know if that's overconfidence or
underconfidence, maybe.
Yeah. But there have been a lot of times where as I'm editing, the guy's performance have just kind of like really blown me away. Like Niall in the first season played sort of this like naive, very sweet, amnesiac android. So there was a lot of moments of sincerity there, and Ryan's character in season 1 also had like these great sort of speeches. This is just a Ryan thing.
I love the riff, I just let it go.
Yeah, Ryan's a great monologuer. And there's some really great ones where just listening to it is good on its own, and then when I find like that perfect track to like put behind, and you're just like delicious, incredible.
I'm like, is this me? Is this me? Did I sound this good? Are you joking?
Yeah, there are times where I listen back and like when you've cut it and edited it and put the music on it, I'm like almost tearing up. I'm like, damn, was I actually doing it well, or is it just all of the things Dane has done? And like the proof is in the pudding when like we had this one moment where like every person who got the episode was like, hey, I cried. Like a bunch of people reached out just to be like, hey, that moment was like wild. And then we had like phenomenal fan art made of that moment that then got like nominated for an award. Like, it was crazy. So that surprised me.
That's pretty good. That's I don't think my group even listens to our show. and I'll be honest, after I'm done editing, I'm like, no, I don't need to listen to it anymore. Like I
think
already hate the sound of my voice, and I can't just go and listen to it afterwards. Like
that's
how I
suffered
feel. Through enough. Yeah.
I usually don't listen back to it. The editing it is enough. I will say the one thing I do, I really like our ending for season 1, in terms of the kind of like speech and the music and everything. Like there's times where like it's such a surreal thing for me. I will admit, gone back and listened to sort of like the last sort of like 10 minutes of
moments
of the episode, and just been like, yeah, that's like anytime I need a little pick me up, I'm like, we did that. We made this story and we buttoned it well, in my opinion, and it's my little comfort thing of being like, anytime I start like getting the scaries a little bit about imposter syndrome and where we're going, just be like, okay, well, there is an end in sight, and we can make it work, and it worked. So
it's not even that. I mean, because you're looking, you've lined up the perfect music. It's timed out perfectly. It's that end of the day, whether you listen to a TTRPG podcast or not, but to appreciate that effort at that end where you got everything lined up, flow is just rolling. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's magic.
So, absolute chaos. A moment from the table, live, off mic, where everything just went off the rails.
Oh my God, off mic.
Or it does off mic, on mic. I mean, it's all part of the process, right? Because
This is not that big of a deal. That's been my fascinating thing lately. So Niall, his webcam has a feature that if he moves his fingers or something, it will zoom in on his face automatically. And sometimes he's naturally just doing stuff like in the show.
Yeah.
And he'll
And
do
gestures,
something
yeah.
and it will automatically zoom in on his face. And every single time I lose it, and I just can't help it. Like, it is the funniest thing on the planet to me. So Niall could be doing this very serious bit and he hasn't noticed what's happening, and it's like zoomed in to like the full of his face, and I just can't handle it.
Like, I've never really done it on purpose, and the one time I tried to, it didn't work, apart from right there, which is handy. But like, a lot of the time it's like if I'm getting into something and I'm gesticulating, or if I'm like counting and it'll do it, and then it like just derails everything.
God,
it's very weird.
Well, especially when you were GMing the mini series, because you were doing a lot of counting and stuff. I just could not keep it together. And already during that show, I was already a deranged mess, so it was just like I couldn't handle it. So that's a good one. That's a fun, lighthearted one for sure.
Yeah, for me, I think when I was doing that miniseries, everything went off the rails because it just all went a different direction to what I was kind of envisaging, where like they met this, stereotypically like cute NPC and just like almost immediately decided to bully the shit out of them for like the whole thing. And like it all went really well. It was just so not what I expected. It changed the whole vibe of like the ship they were on, like the whole thing. And like a lot
sounds
of
like it was your first time game mastering. Was it your first time, or
no, it was just the first time I had intentionally like put an NPC. I don't know. I had a very because again, home games, it's different in a way, but it was just really funny. And because we had a guest and everything, and they were just like bullying the shit out of this person, but it was great.
Yeah, our guest for that season really.
Oh my God.
We had Chinook Tessera on from My First Dungeon and Many Sided Media, who is an incredibly talented both comedian and actual play performer. And when they came on, I don't know what it is about their sort of vibe and energy and whatever, but like I went in, I was expecting to play the straight man, and I guess I kind of did for the most part. But like he just like turned us all into absolute like goblins,
Gremlins.
Yes,
oh my God,
just absolute chaos. And just like every episode kind of like amped that up, and it's like I went in being like, all right, this is Niall's first time GMing on the show. I'm going to be there to sort of like guardrails and help and support, and I didn't do any of that.
No one did.
Just fed him to the wolves.
It was
absolutely.
You know when you expect chaos, but then it's always just a different chaos than you expect.
For sure.
It just, the vibe skewed so weird so quick. Yeah. It was great. It was wonderful. I had so much fun with it.
Yeah.
And it ended up being such a great feeling, but it was just so funny because you think you're prepped and then they've just gone a direction you didn't think existed.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, I think it's the funniest thing on our channel for sure. Like on the show, I think No Job for the Wicked is easily the funniest thing we've done, and I think a big part of that is Chinook's comedy background and influence on us, and just such being
an NPC bully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tossing and
so that's I think it was the permission, right? I think Chinook saw the boundaries of the box and was just like, nah, fuck this, and we were like, oh, okay, we could do this, and
we all jumped on board.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a slightly more comedic box than it was already a little bit more on the goofy side. Office Space was a big influence in the first episode,
Yeah, I think Chinook just showed us that the box was bigger than what I was initially thinking, and Niall did a great job rolling with it, and I think we had a lot of fun. Just it was very exciting to again as someone who GM'd everything up until that point, and who had recently got off a 70 episode stretch of, it was fun to come in and have no idea what was happening as the person
and get the play. You only got one spinning plate as opposed to 20.
Yeah, it was nice to come in and just be like, I got my character sheet and I'm here to just find out what's going on. That was really nice to sort of like let someone else run the show for a little bit and not know what's going to happen. It was nice to like be surprised and discover things. That was which it had a big influence on season 2 too, because I think our big thing is like there's a lot of chance involved in our new season. So discovering and being like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I know where this is going, but I don't know how we're going to get there. And that's added a level of excitement for me for season 2. But I think like, I think we'd be remiss if we're talking about chaos and we don't talk about, in episode 3,
Cheek pouch.
I mean, all of that whole sequence. There's a part where the boys are trying to get away, from a bad situation. And I had a small little like car chase set up, that was meant to be like 3 or 4 skill checks to, a couple decisions of being like, do you go left? Do you go right? Do you go down the alley? Do you go on the highway? Like that kind of stuff. And they just beefed it so bad. Like it just made the craziest choices. The dice weren't on their side.
The dice were not.
And it was one of those things where I was like, well, do I do the thing of put my head down and be like, we have a thing to get to. We have a story to tell. I'll just sort of like, maybe I'll crash your car and I was like, or do we set the standard now of being like, the dice really have an effect in this game? Because one of the things that pisses me off about listening to an actual play is when someone's like, hinting that there's something to be discovered. And then the person rolls like a 3 perception check and they're like, well, with a 3, you find, and they still tell you anyway. And I'm like, well, okay, this doesn't matter then. So I was like, no, we're going to do this. And so this, like, what I thought was going to be like maybe a 10-minute skill check-a-thon car chase ended up being the rest of the episode and then almost the rest of the next episode of this absolutely like buck wild, space chase through a space station. And it, in my opinion, I think it's one of those moments where I think if you can get to episode 4 or 5 in our show and you're not hooked, then like I don't think we're for you. And that's my that honest of that season. Yeah. But like, for me, I was just like, I don't know what's happening. And I was making so much shit up on the fly because we would record 2 episodes at a time, towards the beginning. So my plans, I had to essentially like episode 4 is almost entirely improvised on the spot because I had planned like episode 5 should have been there. So the whole 4th episode.
Car chase, happens, we go into 5.
Man.
Yeah.
And we just kept digging down, like we could not dig up at all. We just
as the GM, I was throwing as many lifelines out as I could, and
we would just say no, we don't want that.
Or if you said yes, you would roll a 1. Yeah, like it was one of those things where I was just like, I was like, I'm either gonna have to kill them or arrest them, and that just might be where it
very
goes.
Close to both.
Yeah.
TPK in episode 3. We're starting a new episode, a new timeline, right? And that's that's the line. Like a lot of and no fault to them because they have a story they want to tell, right? Like a lot of people, their actual play podcast, I don't say actively avoid a TPK or something like that, but I mean, really, the way I look at it, if you're going to be an actual play podcast, the dice have to tell that story.
Yeah. Otherwise, do an audio drama, right?
Yeah, you have 8 pages of what should happen next. Those are gone. Right? That one crit fail, that one, or natty 20, right? I mean, it can diverge your timeline so quickly, and you gotta try to respect that.
Yeah, and I feel like when the 1s and 20s come to us, they come in waves. Like it's not just like, we had one fun fumble. It's like it's an episode where it's like, oh, we've rolled 4 or 5 somehow. Like it, yeah.
I think we needed new dice or something. We got a lot of ones, not enough fucking 20s. I would have liked more 20s as a player.
Yeah.
I mean, with Starfinder, with Pathfinder, I mean, you get such high bonuses. Like, that's a plus 36. Like, how do you get a plus 36?
I mean, I think our first roll in season 1 at level 1, I think our operative, which is kind of like the rogue class, rolled like a 28 stealth check at level 1. And you're just like, okay. Sure.
Right?
Yeah, it's funny. At one point in time, someone on our Discord like crunched the numbers and like did a running total or tally over like a couple episodes of how many ones. I think it was specifically Nile.
Yeah.
I think it was one particular episode where I think I rolled like 7 or 8 nat ones. I think Ryan did like 3, and I think our other player had done like 4. Like, it was a statistic anomaly how many we'd done, and it was just like, yeah.
That is, when they come, they come. You can't stop them.
Yeah.
Weirdest way a player solved the problem in game.
Okay, I got one for sure. So in the mini season that I was doing, essentially had set up this thing where they were on a crashing spaceship that was like entering atmosphere of a planet. Yeah. And one of their team, or like one of the people they were traveling with, had just died in this. It was like a very serious moment where they died. They'd set up the big bad, and then as this ship was like entering atmosphere, it was falling apart. So they all got ejected out of the spaceship and were free falling to the ground while fighting these robots. And it was like, how do you not die? How do you not hit the ground while doing this combat? Right? That was the puzzle. So what I didn't expect was, one, Dane rolled
How
like
could
a nat.
anybody?
Yeah, Dane rolled like a nat 20 to stay in the ship instead of getting ejected like other people did. Because, like, again, I'm not going to just be like, you get thrown out, roll a reflex save. The reflex save was pretty high. He passed it. Actually, I don't think he got 20. He got like a 19 and then added, but it was high enough.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, really, really high.
I'm not going to throw you out. And to me, it's fun because now there's this element I hadn't considered. You're still in the ship. The ship is spiraling to the ground, but maybe you could do something with that. Maybe you could repair the engine, whatever. No. Does he try to repair the engine? Does he try to fly the ship? Does he try to do anything? No. What he does is he gets the body of this old man who was a dwarf who had just died, casts a spell called Churn Fluid, which turns any liquid into another liquid, changes his blood to jet fuel, and rides his body, essentially, like jumps out of the ship while straddling his body, and then ignites the jet fuel to like have maneuverability while in the air. Not fully, not to, completely, I gave him a couple of rounds, but yeah. So he's just riding the
Is that an animal handling skill check?
Yeah. It was wild.
Yeah, it was a good one. But no one saw that one coming. That one was pretty
unexpected.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else.
I like finding weird rule or like spells that like have no purpose and being like, I'll take that just in case.
I don't get to play him much because it's hard for we got a whole side thing going on. It's hard for us. I have a paladin that has a cloak of billowing. Just because I think everyone's like, that's stupid magic. That is the best magic item ever. Cloak of billowing.
So fun.
Just stand there looking like a cool guy.
Sometimes that's all you need.
You gotta have it. I will say I had I don't know if I necessarily I guess I solved a problem. We did have a very dramatic moment where I had rolled poorly in like the space combat and our turret got ripped off. We were in atmosphere again, so there were things, and like this beloved NPC hanging off the edge of the thing. I'm in the ship, but I had an ability where I could teleport and like swap places, and I also had a wingsuit, which essentially let me like not fly, but not die from falling. Yeah. So to negate that, clap my hands, swap places, and then deployed the wingsuit. And it was just like one of those moments where you feel cool as a player. You're like, oh, like the wingsuit's not good. I don't think I've really used it for a lot of things, but like in this moment, I was like, oh, this is actually very cool. I thought that was pretty cool. It felt good.
So let's talk a little game magic. A moment from the show you wish everyone could hear because it captured the magic that is your show.
What?
It's tough.
I don't know.
I think there's a few.
Yeah.
A few drastics. Like, I think there are moments where, like, oh, this is us being, like, very funny and wild. And then there's the very sincere moments, like Niles talked about. I'm trying to think what
it's
tied
also
it all together.
Hard to talk about them without spoiling things.
Oh,
we can do
no spoilers, right?
Yeah. I do think, like, as Dane kind of mentioned, if you listen to the first 5 episodes of Reckoning, our first season, you have that chase that kind of goes buck wild, which I think is very fun in terms of it's exciting action-wise. It's funny because we're just fucking up, but there's also like one of our old players who's no longer with us does this great moment where he like pulls a bomb out of like a cheek pouch, which is an ability his like Ratfolk character had. And there was just like, there's a lot of moments. And then in episode 5, it's flashbacks to all of our like pasts. And that was a very good like role play heavy episode. And I just think that encapsulates it very quickly, like those 5 episodes. But I do think there is like that scene. It happens really far on, but there's like a very emotional moment between the players that kind of like had been culminating for a while. And I think that is a very good like snippet of like how emotional the show can get. But I don't want to be more specific.
No,
or maybe be for me
if
later.
you're going to say like,
you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what you're
go
talking
watch
about.
episode,
In me, with Cody and his emotions.
Okay, great. Yes, that's what
okay.
I thought. I thought you said like there's this one and then there's another one. So, I think episode 5 for me is really. I think there's a ton of great stuff. Like I said, like I was frequently blown away by how much commitment and trust the guys gave me in terms of leading them in terms of the story. They really bought in and really dug into it, which I think is the best gift a GM and storyteller can get. So I think there's a lot of moments where they gave me tons of really, really great moments and hints and sort of like little nuggets that I could later on mine. But I think so in episode 5, it is a flashback episode, which becomes sort of a motif throughout the rest of the series of we discovering who they are before everything happened. To give a little bit of context, Niall's character has amnesia, so he doesn't remember what's going on. The other character, Duran, is a sort of like runaway assassin. He was part of a sort of like military religious cult that was in sort of a civil war forever. And he abandoned it, and we don't know why. And Ryan's character is sort of this self-exiled, leader who decides not to go back to his people, and we don't know why. So we sort of tell 2 stories of sort of what's happening now and sort of what happened then. Yeah. And I sprung that on them. In terms of like, I did not tell them about episode 5. I did not tell them to prepare their backstory. I didn't tell them to prepare, anything. And, I just kind of like let them act. I let them like give me what their character is about and who they are and just sort of really hope that they trusted me in terms of what I was doing. And I think it's one of my favorite episodes because it is one of those things where I'm just like, okay, we have something here. Like, this is really special and the guys are incredibly talented. And I was surprised at what ended up in the episode because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how they were going to react. And I didn't know what they were going to give me. And I think it really sets the stage for just how serious and dramatic we can get in a show that is quite, and most of the time, quite silly and sort of, lighthearted and
comedic.
Yeah. And just being like, oh, the boys have chops on them, and that's going to be something that we'll come back to throughout the show. And that's it for me. I think if you can get to episode 5 and you're not impressed with us, then I don't know what else we can do for.
Well, do I have to mail you money?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we got real lucky. I think we sort of like found that vibe of what we wanted right away. Like, once again, those first 1 to 5, no duds. We obviously, us being friends and having played together before, I think really came together then because, we just trusted each other, as Dana said. And that's it. That's the show. Like that tone, that vibe. Obviously, we grow as performers and the show grows throughout the 70 plus episodes of season 1. But like, it's that same energy. It's for great pals, like doing something they love doing. And I think that shows with the highs and lows of what, the characters go through. So I agree that 1 to 5, give it a shot. please, if you're listening.
Please.
For sure.
Please.
Is there a theme you didn't expect to explore but kind of actually got into?
I think that one of the things that, and this kind of, I never thought about it until someone said it on our Discord, was that the players themselves represented, they were like, oh, Cody, who's Niall's character, is the heart, and there's the brain and the soul, and it was just sort of like a combination of like, well, that's, and I was like, yeah, once it wasn't something we ever talked about, it wasn't ever something I was like trying to push or whatever, but once someone sort of like put it out there, and I was like, oh, that kind of is like it, like this is like
how it fits. Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's, yeah, like I didn't think about that, and it wasn't a plan, but it really did sort of put the show into context for me in terms of how people were listening to it and how people were absorbing it and relating to the characters, of being like, the challenges that each character was facing was something that kind of we all face at some point in time, just different aspects of our lives, of being like, this is grief and this is hope and this is hopelessness, and this is very real things that we all struggle with and trauma that we struggle with. And I think a lot of people attached to the characters because of that, of being like, they might not be space rat assassins, but they do know what it is to like know they've done something wrong and try to redeem themselves because of it. And the same thing of being like, I made a promise and I broke it. I fell in love and I made bad choices because of it. It's those things of like universal experiences, I think. And I think that was never like, we didn't sit down and be like, all right, this is what we're going to do with yours. This is what we're going to do with yours. It just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
Organically.
Yeah, considering like we probably should have talked about our characters prior to.
We didn't.
Like, I didn't know anything, and it's like it could have gone really badly if we all.
Yeah, you thought we would have learned that lesson for season 2, but we didn't. We didn't.
We also,
it's all clerics.
Well, we once did that in the home game. It went terribly. Even we named our characters this season. They
my God, that was a
sound
mistake.
Similar, and we should have fixed that. But whatever.
Yeah,
I think a theme that I didn't expect was just like, it almost became like Cody and his two dads.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Niall was my son.
Yeah, it was like this weird, almost like family dynamic, and it was very sweet. But like, that was a thing that like people were even referring to like your guys' characters as like my two dads. It was just really cool.
Yeah.
So you're hitting all the beats on this show. So that's pretty good. So every show we do something called Roll for Reflection. So it's a D20 roll, and we have two tables. So creative table 1 is creative lessons. So I'll get all three of you to roll a D20, and we'll go from there.
Pulled out my dice from season 1. Rolled a 2.
Hey, not a 1. Not a 1. It's
Not a
getting
1.
better.
We're
Not a
getting
one.
better. They just need to cook a little longer.
What initiative? What did we get, Dane?
I got a 14.
14. And Ryan?
12.
12. I'll tell you, 2. I think 2 is worse than 1 when it comes to rolling the dice.
It is, because one's like exciting.
Yeah, crit fail. What's going to happen? How's this going to fuck me up? But 2 is like, that's nothing. That is just literally the worst roll.
Yeah, I still suck. It's just not even exciting.
All right, Dane. You rolled a 14.
Correct.
What have you learned about collaboration?
I think for me, it's trust. It's a level of being like, I can prep all I want, and I can have notes and notes and notes and notes, but the show doesn't exist and isn't good without the rest of the cast. And I need to, I need to trust them that when we start rolling, that they've got my back. So when the plot might be dragging or whatever, they're gonna amp up. And the same thing when, I think their bit is dying, I'm gonna move them along. It's one of those things where I think you have to sort of put ego aside and just be like, we're making a show, and it's a show that we want people to listen to. And it's a show that people do listen to. And so we have to do our best to make it the best show ever. And if that means that I have to
an
sacrifice...
award-winning show.
It is a multi-award winning show if we really want to twirl our mustaches.
Well, you should.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where I'm like, if they go a direction and it screws, a couple pages of prep, I'm going to chase that lead as opposed to being like, no, this is my story. This is my show. This is the way we're going. I think that's, you hear it a lot, and I find that like every time I give a new show a try, if that pops up, if that's one of the things that happens, I'm like, I don't know if I can listen to this because I need to know what the story is going to look like when everyone is telling it. And I think a lot of people need to remember that like the GM is there to facilitate and not, force.
Yeah, not
so
You move the story along, not lay down tracks.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a level of railroading you can do as an actual play because again, it is a something that is created
You have to go a certain direction.
Yeah, it's created for an audience. I think if you meander too long, I think that's just as bad as if the players have no agency. And I think that's where trust comes in, right? You have to trust everyone has to be part of this.
Yeah.
The brain meld.
All right, Niall, you rolled a 2, which is shittier than a 1, but question is a creative risk you took that paid off.
Yeah. I think in the moment that I mentioned earlier that a lot of people reacted to very well, like the emotional moment, it's kind of a spoiler, but whatever, we'll get into it. I was playing this character who had they were an android. They were very almost like childlike in a way because they had been constructed and socialized with a child. They were kind of like their minder and all this stuff. So they're very naive in a lot of ways, very optimistic, based a lot of their worldview on 80s action movies, and just didn't really see things, especially compared to the other two characters, who one was a grizzled ex-assassin. They all had this very realistic, almost grim viewpoint. But at one point, something terrible happens, and the reaction to that, I almost just played it straight down the middle, where they were depressed or angry or, finally grieving. But I thought it would be a lot more exciting to flip that on its head and all of a sudden have them be even happier than usual, even as if nothing bad had happened or had ever happened, and essentially have it come to light that they had turned off their emotions. So for the next couple of episodes, they didn't even feel pain. They'd get shot and wouldn't heal because they wouldn't have known they'd gotten shot, and were just acting very erratically as if life was a movie or a whatever. And at the time I was worried because it was kind of like a snap judgment where I was like, is this gonna play weird? Is it just gonna be uncomfortable? Am I just kind of, because there's an element of throwing a wrench in everyone else's gears when they're trying to be serious, and I'm like, no, we fucking take this path, and I didn't want to be that guy that was just doing that. There was also an element of fear that it would come up way too quickly and we'd have to resolve it without payoff, and the other players, it all worked so well. They gave it just the right amount of time to dramatically kind of bubble and ferment and get to that boiling point, that when it did all kind of come to pass, it was this dramatic moment, and it did get very emotional. And it was such a relief after to literally get people reach out and message and just say that they really found that moment powerful. And it's funny because I was going to my partners oh, I did the dumbest shit, everyone's gonna fucking hate it.
Yeah.
So that was very scary. But again, the trust and everybody kind of, I don't know how much they knew or thought or inferred, but they did it, in my opinion, so perfectly that it was really great. So I was glad I did it, even though
they just let you ride that, eh? So that's great.
Yeah.
That's,
giving just enough, and yeah, it was really satisfying and scary, but it was good.
Ryan, you rolled a 12.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess, is that a good roll in Starfinder? Because you got a plus 84?
Yeah, anything over 10 is you're usually pretty good if it's something your character does in general. Yeah.
A piece of advice you give to every new podcaster.
Man, that is crazy coming from me because I am definitely the baby podcaster of the trio. Well, I think once again, I had the very lucky pleasure of being baby birded by Niall and Dane, who were just feeding me advice, and obviously I could trust in their experience. So like I had the pleasure that I got to skip sort of the complete unknown. But I think the thing is that especially if you don't come from like a performance background, like is have fun with it. But also, I think it's that understanding that you are creating something for consumption. I think that's something that you sort of have to be aware of, is that like, hey, we have a lot of fun at our home game, for example, but is this going to be something that other people want to listen to? And if you have that reality before you even get started, I think that's important, where it's like, you don't want to get halfway through and be like, oh no, does anyone want to hear that? So I think it's just have fun, but also understand that it's performance. You just can't see the audience. You have to have that in mind. We've used the word before during like this little talk, where like it's work. It's fun. It's a lot of
Totally.
but it's work. So you have to keep that in mind. I think that's it. It's like obviously be goofy, be silly. In Niall's like campaign he ran, I literally played Big Bird in space who liked to cause riot. Like I had a lot of fun with it, but also you had to understand that it's work. You still have to push the story forward, and want to be a part of the motion. And
be all fun and games and me.
Yeah, like if I can tell Niall's going in a certain way, I'm going to help him out. When he's storytelling, or when Dane's storytelling, I'm going to go in. Like we're not the players who are like every 5 feet, we're like, we check for traps. Like you got to give into the danger a little bit. You can't just have a steel pole hitting at the floor.
I got my 10-foot pole. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like you can't do that. Sometimes you got to live dangerously. You have to make bold choices, and you just have to, you're not trying to win. You're trying to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make my group listen to that last point.
Walk into the trap.
Episode 20. We're still at the door.
Yeah. You just got to go into, sometimes you have to hit the tripwire,
Yeah. Let it go through. All right. So now we're going to roll on the personal insight table. So D20s.
Well, today. And by that, I mean middling.
I got a 5, so slightly better.
Slightly better. It's above a 1. Dane?
I got a 13.
13. And Ryan?
4. I actually did worse than Niall.
Wow.
Suck it.
Okay, Dane. You rolled a 13. Self-doubt you overcame.
Oh, man. Like the whole thing, all of it. Can I just say everything?
Yeah.
I had been GMing for years prior to doing the show, and I don't remember the last time I had been as nervous to do a thing than like our first episode. And there's still an element of it. I think that's part of like why I love it. Like one of my favorite things to do when I was an actor was to audition, because you got that tummy bubbling kind of butterfly feeling and nerves, which I know a lot of people call that fear. It's the spice of life for me. I like that feeling. It's why I love doing the live performances as well. But I think the trust of being like, you're never going to do it perfectly. This is a show in which, you make mistakes, you read a stat block wrong, you read a rule wrong, you miss a beat that like one of the boys puts down, right? Like one of your players gives you a thing and you miss it, or you forget to bring something up. Like in season 1, I had this grand plan to introduce the fact that the ship that they end up getting on has an AI that was going to be a like thing. Right, like there was going to be like an AI sort of like buddy on the ship that was going to end up being like a pretty major, character in the show.
You see, yeah.
And I just every time forgot to introduce him, and like I kept being like, I'll do it we had like sort of in between chapters, we had a thing called the space between, which is sort of the chance the guys I gave everyone a moment to sort of further their personal storylines and their personal agendas.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'll do it then. And then I'd forget to do it and be like, well, okay, we'll wait another, 9 episodes to finish this chapter. And then I'll do it in that one. And then by the time it was like, I remembered to do it again, I was like, well, we're almost at the end and introducing it now would be pointless. So it's that kind of like level of like listening back and be like, I forgot to say this, or I said this too soon and may have tipped my hand a little too early to reveal too much of the mystery, or, and And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's going to happen. And it is what it is. And you can always pivot, right? Like the episodes we've recorded are recorded and released. The episodes we haven't aren't. So it's just a matter of, I'm going to have to bang my head against a wall for a little bit to figure out how to reverse engineer this. And the times I have made mistakes and the times I have done something that I didn't want to do, whether it was too soon or too late, actually ends up giving me like decent ideas on how to like back work things in, or, you know, really kind of is an aha moment later on down the road. So I think that's it, right? Like, I think it's just the deep breath of being like, I'm going to make a mistake. And that isn't the end of the world. We can fix it, or we roll with it and we just acknowledge it. And that's, to me, is very scary.
I'd take over DMing second season of our podcast because our DM literally ran away to join a circus.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Happens.
So I know that fear. And like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I can't fill his shoes. And we'll see how it goes.
That's how I felt about when I had to hop in to do it after Dane. It's like multi-award winning, incredible, like season 1. I like, even as a player, I fucking loved it. And then it was like, oh, cool. I get to go up and be a dumbass. I was terrified.
We have something and now it's in my hands. Oh my God.
Yeah. Watch me fucking ruin
it.
it. No one's going to listen ever again.
Now, how has the cast changed you?
You know what? I feel like it's just made me more confident. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I love these boys with every ounce of my heart. And like, every time we do anything together, like, that trust is there, and that trust is there in game, out of game. Like, I would take a bullet for them and they would take one for me. I'm 99% sure. No, they would.
I'm not that fast, but I try.
You know, and like, a lot of the things we've done have been scary, like doing live shows and doing like guesting on shows and having guests that I listen to and now all of a sudden are on the show, and I'm like, oh shit, this is terrifying. And DMing the episode, like my miniseries, was absolutely terrifying. And just like all these things, it's like I got support and love from them and like was able to do that. And there are less things now that make me that scared, which is, I think, very cool. So yeah, it's just like built me up.
Boo.
Ryan?
Yes.
A way you've surprised yourself because of this show.
Oh my God. The fact I'm still doing it, I think, is crazy. The fact that I've been able, that these guys have grabbed me by the hands and are still pulling me around like I'm some, like they're a toddler who gets lost going through the mall, you know? But yeah, that's it. The fact that we're doing it, the fact that we've done it, you know, we finished the first season. You know, when we first started this, like, you know, when Dane, like, to be honest, when Dane came to me and Niall pitched it to me, I was like, yeah, we'll just have fun, record a couple episodes, see what happens. I was slightly inebriated for like the first 20 recordings we did. Like, I was like, yeah, we're just having fun. And then the moment, I think it was maybe our first fan expo when we got asked to go up, and I flew up, and we, you know, we were there and people were asking us about it, and it became real. You know, it became like, oh, like here we are doing it. So being able to sort of take on that mantle and just be proud of what we do and sort of become, you know, also, I don't know if I'd ever describe myself as a podcaster compared to like Niall and Dane, but that's what I do now. You know, that's what I do with these guys. And it's crazy that we're, you know, into season 2 and we've done over 100 episodes combined between shows. It's like the fact that we're still doing it and the end's not in sight is surprising. And it surprises myself. I just picture myself as their, like, once again, their drunk little son, but
we're terrible parents.
Yeah. Terrible parents. I didn't say you were good. Like, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh no, I get it. That's amazing. I mean, it's perfect answer. Bonus question.
Why?
Rapid fire. Poutine or Halifax Donair? Well, that's for all of you.
These guys haven't even been to Halifax.
Yeah, I guess poutine. I've never had a proper Halifax Donair.
You haven't? These guys have to come visit me, please. Yeah, they haven't come visit me. I always go to
I'm
Toronto.
in Alberta and I can get a Halifax style donair.
Well, that's because you have a
had
bunch of
like
East Coasters out your way, right? Like,
I had a donair
Yeah.
pizza on Monday. Does that count? It was pretty good.
Good. I mean, I could get a Halifax donair in Kingston. So you guys are in Toronto. How do you know?
It doesn't exist.
I
Doesn't
wanted
exist.
to get
It's
one,
crazy.
and then another friend of ours from the East Coast yelled at me and was like, "It's not the same. Don't bother." So I
No,
did.
you gotta
Yeah,
come
we
here.
can get Halifax style donair, but we can't get a Halifax donair. I've been to the
you
East
gotta
Coast,
come down.
and I've had a PEI donair.
That's not the same.
I know,
No,
but
also not the
I
same.
mean, I'm also lactose intolerant, so give me the donair every day. I will enjoy that. I think if I had
It's
to
so
choose,
good.
if I had to choose one, it'd be the donair for sure.
Yeah, no, the donair's good. It's like, it's the strangest delicacy that I think a province or city has in this country in a lot of ways. Because, like, how did this show up? Why are a bunch of, East Coasters making donair? But it's so good.
Cheese? Do you cheese your donair up?
I don't, but some people do. And I don't doubt them for it. I just want to taste the meat and the sauce. That's all I want. Like,
Sweet or tzatziki?
sweet. Tzatziki's for suckers. It's not real. It's not real. That's not real. It's got to be the sweet donair sauce, 100%.
Tell you, I mean, when I had my first Halifax style donair was in Kingston, 1996. I was there in the army, there for training. There was a guy, King of Pizza donair. I still to this day dream of those donairs, size of a football. They did not have donair condoms back then. And I had to eat it in the hallway with a shirt off because there's just tinfoil
It's so
and
messy.
sweet sauce
Everywhere.
all over me. Such
it's
a beautiful thing.
It is like an overindulgent dish. Like it is, it's gonna mess you up, but you're not going to feel
The
good
donair
afterwards, but
condom
you'll feel
is
real good.
the greatest
Oh, yeah.
invention ever.
Yeah, protects. Now, donair's great. We'll get you guys out east eventually to try it legit.
I need to.
Yeah, you have to have a Halifax donair. You guys, thank you so much. You're all wonderful. If you ever think I'll have you on anytime, you ever think of more fails, more fortunes, more anything, love to have you back on the show.
Yeah.
But before we go, where can everybody find you if they haven't found you already?
Yeah. If you go on to www.noquestcast.com or look up No Quest for the Wicked, we're everywhere, or we should be at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
If
in
you
the
can't
middle
find
of
us somewhere, let us know.
Yeah, something has gone terribly wrong. But yeah, we just started season 2. We're a couple episodes in. We're doing some really exciting things with it. We're really getting the audience involved. So
We didn't even mention that during this whole thing, which is crazy. We didn't talk about the Discord involvement or the fate dice. So maybe that's what we'll come back and talk about.
But yeah, to make it
Sounds interesting.
really brief, you can make factions, vote on things that will affect basically the settlement that we're like living in season 2. Which is like our home base, and it's been really fun getting the audience involved that way. So if that sounds interesting, come swing by.
Jump on the Discord, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of our greatest achievements is our Discord community. They're so fucking kick-ass. And we were like, well, how do we get them more involved? We make them players in our game.
Yeah.
So if you want to find us on social media, it's No Questcast, pretty much everywhere.
So if somebody wanted to jump in right now today, like get off, they've stopped listening here, they're going right to No Questcast. Can they start at season 2 without being completely lost? Or
Yes,
the recommendation is season 1 and go through it.
It is a standalone season, but it is a continuation of the events of season 1. It takes place 25 years after season 1. So I
Same
think
solar system.
Yeah, same system, same sort of world, same sort of repercussions of the events of season 1. I think you will really enjoy season 1 and you will get way more out of season 2. But if you want to jump in straight to the action and want to participate in the world building and the voting and the factions and the Discord involvement, you can jump into season 2. All of the important things will be explained in universe and in fiction, so you will never be kind of left hanging. But I think there will be things that, like, as a season 1 fan or listener, you will be like, oh, that's cool. I remember that. I know what this is. I know who that is.
Oh, that's a tie back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And, I mean, hoping for nothing but the best, more awards. I saw you guys turn down Gen Con, which is unfortunate, but completely understandable in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Hopefully hopefully things change to a point.
We'll be there
where
eventually.
Yeah.
You can get there again. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you.
All
Thank
have
you
a
very
good
much.
night and enjoy.
Thank you.
Next time on Fail and Fortune, we're joined by Laura and Michael from Epic Tales and Crit Fails, a podcast that blends high fantasy with a touch of the Lovecraftian. From editing nightmares to unforgettable roleplay, Laura and Michael open up about the humor, heart, and chaos that shaped their show, and the monsters with backstories you'll never forget.